One of the best things about playing wizard in an RPG game is throwing a fireball at a group of orcs and watching them burn. There is no escape! Old school fantasy. I miss you so much. Modern day orcs are all well spoken, wear fancy hats and like to bake pies. Especially in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, orcs just became green-skinned humans. Humans cosplaying. It's one thing to make orcs more nuanced and complex, and another thing to completely erase their unique identity. Everything that makes them different from the other races. Because if they are too different, especially if the fantasy race has negative traits, it may be seen as bad and problematic. And it all started when some people of questionable morals decided to compare orcs, pure evil monsters, to black people. I don't know exactly who started it, but I learned about it from extra credits. I don't watch extra credits anymore. If you ever read Forgotten Realms novels about Dries Do'Urden, written by Robert Salvatore, you may know that there are a lot of orcs in his books. While I was reading these stories years ago, I never for a second thought the orcs were supposed to represent some kind of minority. For me, they were just a different type of monsters, like demons or predators. Bad guys that were meant to challenge the heroes. Granted, I don't live in America and I don't know much about it. I heard that there are like two of them. Most people in my country are as pale as John Cena's tidy whities.
Now that's just racist.
But I don't think that would change anything, simply because black people in fantasy, Forgotten Realms specifically, already existed as a part of the human race. Orcs, on the other hand, are not humans, and in Salvatore novels, they are described as big, green-skinned monsters with pig-like faces. So I never saw any correlation between them and actual humans. To me they were no different from trolls or kobolds. This is such a weird stretch, and anyone who sees the orcs and thinks they are problematic is a complete R-word. If you are wondering which word I meant both of them. This false narrative was spread for years and I am sick of it. But what about the Lord of the Rings? It has only white people in it. The Lord of the Rings is a British mythology created for British people. It was not made for the Slavs either. Slavic white people are not represented in it. And I don't feel represented just because all the characters are white. It's a completely different culture, which is fine by the way. I don't have to get all obsessed and offended about it, to the point where I'm making up. The Lord of the Rings is the greatest story ever told, about the battle between good and evil. A universal theme that can be understood by every inhabitant of our little planet. Orcs play the role of minor demons, an evil to be slain, and it's okay for them to just be evil. Orcs, as we know them, were created by Tolkien, but he based them on creatures that already existed in Celtic and Norse folklore, and not the real world humans. I'm not saying you can't never do anything interesting with the orcs, and make them more nuanced. I saw it done many times in novels, movies and games. But it's okay for them to be just evil. They can exist as an external obstacle that challenges the hero. For example, when Stan Lee created Mephisto, it was for one reason only, and that was to humanize Silver Surfer. Mephisto exists because Marvel wanted to turn Silver Surfer into a better, more sympathetic character. And to this day, this is Mephisto's role in Marvel Comics. To challenge its heroes for the sake of their character development. But lately even demons being pure evil is problematic for some people. Because I don't actually know why. Back in the old days, the village idiots were either ignored or chased away with sticks. And now they are all on Twitter hiding behind anime avatars. I like free speech, but people spreading lies and misinformation have the power to affect us negatively. And it's what's been infecting and destroying Western media for years now. Games like Dragon Age The Veilguard are the indirect product of this spiteful lunacy. I am a big Dragon Age fan. I played Origins constantly at home, I was thinking about it at work, and after coming back from my night shift I would immediately start playing it again, until I fell asleep. Then I would wake up and get back to it. Don't do that, it's very unhealthy. But that's how much I liked that game. Dragon Age The Veilguard is I cut out most of my angry rant because it was too offensive to every group on Earth. Especially women, bald people, fat people, Italians and console players. Here's a video of a cat instead. Cats are nice. And if they didn't imprison the last king of the Anunnaki, we wouldn't now have to worry about the reptilians. So I saw Voldemort play Veilguard, and I have to admit combat looks good. Or at least good enough. And the music is great. Unfortunately, everything else is horrible. Dialogue, character design, and everything looks too cartoonish for a dark fantasy world. Setting aside all of these things, the moment I knew this game is not good, it's when I saw the Qunari design. This alone for me as a Dragon Age fan was enough to determine that I would probably hate this game. Like I said, every character looks cartoonish, and most of them are horribly designed, but the Qunaris are the worst. If you compare them to previous games, this is the worst Qunari design we ever had. And I believe, this is my opinion, that it was made for the same reason that orcs are now baking pies. The problem with Veilguard's Qunari head is that it looks extremely out of place, because this horny shaped head was not created to have human face. But that's what they did. They plastered the human face on an ogre-like monster head. And the reason they did that was because portraying other races as ugly may be seen problematic by crazy people that had their unhinged opinions validated, and now it's too late to put that genie back in the bottle. Dragon Age fans like Qunari's grisly look. We don't think it's ugly, it's cool. And it fits a dark fantasy game setting. But people who made Veilguard characters looks like something out of Frozen movie will never understand that. But the design is not the only problematic thing about the Qunari. Qunari are conquerors. Their ultimate goal is to conquer all lands and convert everyone to their religion, the Qun. So of course now we have characters who complained about their religion and are mad about everything that made Qunaris cool in the past. Well, actually, not every Qunari followed the Qun. Thank you for that statement, and my church used to burn witches. Maybe that wasn't such a Dragon Age players were pointing out that the Qun religion is what made the Qunari interesting. And that's true. Qunari, at least before Veilguard, were very spiritual and very stoic people. But our Qunari companion, what's her face, it's Taash. It's Taash, guys. Taash sounds and acts like a regular human, probably from California, cosplaying as a fantasy race. There's a scene in the game when you encourage her to accept her multicultural heritage. What multicultural heritage? Every culture you created is the same. You watered it down to such a basic level that there is no significant difference between them, besides what kind of trinkets they wear. Differences are so superficial that all these cultures can easily coexist without any conflicts of ideological nature. The only real problem they have is the battle against established gender norms.
Taash, do you like being a woman?
Nobody likes being a woman.
Okay. And it seems like the only interesting Qunari in the game, who actually looks and acts more like the Qunari we know and love, is the bad guy. But don't worry, he's not a real Qunari. A real Qunari wouldn't be a bad guy. This one just lost his way. Modern media are so afraid of giving fantasy races negative traits that they are making them boring. But in a world where modern village idiots say you are racist for hating actual demons, while hoping that giant alien bugs will destroy humanity, I am not surprised. So that's what I think, this is my opinion, but what's your take on it? Tell me in the comments. Either way, thank you very much for watching, and despite the odds, have a great day.